what is your story? And no, not in like a awkward, getting to know each other, icebreaky kind of way. I mean, what is the story that you tell yourself about yourself? We all have one. Like if you're maybe a kid who's been bullied since you were, young, all the way into your, young adulthood, maybe you see yourself as, the victim. I'm just a guy that gets bullied by people. No one likes me, yada yada. Maybe if you're someone who's had a lot of experiences where, you've been in this kind of positive feedback loop since a kid where everyone tells you how great you are, how smart you are. Maybe you see yourself as, diamond in the rough, or someone who's just better than other people. We all have our own stories. And I think for most part nowadays, most of these stories that we have for ourselves tend to be negative ones. And that is what I'm going to be talking about today, how to change and understand these stories that we tell ourselves about ourselves. So my intention is that in this video, I'm going to try to explain why we get so attached to these stories that we have for ourselves, and also try and see what we can do to become more reliable narrators of our lives. Okay, so we're all guilty of creating a narrative for ourselves that we then kind of apply in every situation that we're in. Whether it's a positive or negative, we all have narratives for ourselves. So again, maybe you think you're the type of guy that has no luck, that everything just doesn't work out for you because that is just who you are. But something you have to realize, that I realized, is that all these stories that we create for ourselves, they're all tied to our egos. Yes, the egos, the E word. Because if you think about it, if you dissect all these stories that we have for ourselves, they'll kind of tell us different parts about ourselves, like our passions, our fears, our desires, and what we find meaningful and important. Basically, our brains are programmed to try and make sense of the world around us, and we do this by creating, these self-stories. And these stories basically create a belief system that we then apply to everything around us, and it changes how we act and the way that we perceive the world. And you definitely have a story that you told yourself. I think we all do. And the more that you're able to kind of poke holes in this story that you tell yourself, the more likely you are to finally start to realize that you have just been brainwashing yourself for years. For example, for me, I used to be addicted to creating this sub story for myself where, woe is me, things are so bad, oh, I'm cooked, no one likes me, da da da. And I know it sounds pretty harsh, but this is something I actually believe. For a long time in my life, I believed that people hated me secretly, and that everyone thought I sucked, and that everyone was just pretending to be my friend. Yeah, it sounds kind of crazy, but I feel like you probably can relate to some of that shit as well. Because the thing is, these narratives for myself didn't just come out from nowhere. It's obviously from my experiences. But the fault that I did is that, I think all of us do this, that we kind of interpret these experiences that we have as reflections of who we actually are, instead of just individual events that just happen. And it's because as humans, we are so self-absorbed and selfish. We honestly believe that everything that happens to us happened because it's us. When someone doesn't want to be with us, it's oh, they don't want to be with me because I'm so bad and I'm stupid and I'm unlovable. Or when you get rejected from a job interview, for example, you tell yourself wow, they think I'm so awful and I don't deserve to live. When really, all this means is that you didn't fit the requirements for that position. And I think that sentence right there can be applied to so many instances in our lives where we don't get what we want simply because we don't fit the requirements for the things we want. But we feel okay, that is just who we are. We'll never be able to reach these things that we want because we suck. It's really not that simple. So you, for example, you probably had some close friends at some point in your life. I'm hoping, I'm guessing. And although that you may see yourself as someone who, is unable to make friends, and that you're unlikable, and that people don't find you funny, you got a tiny wiener. But the truth is, these feelings of seeing yourself as someone who isn't liked and can't make friends does come from your experiences of probably being, rejected during your childhood, maybe rejected at school or something, maybe excluded from a certain friend group. And you decided to take that one experience that happened who knows how long ago now and basically copy and paste that same experience onto your identity. And to be honest, is it working in your favor? I don't think so. And for example, and if you're someone that feels like you're unlovable, for example, this again probably stems from the way you were treated in your childhood, probably by your parents. Maybe you had an unavailable parent who was either physically not there or emotionally not there. And you've interpreted that as meaning that I don't deserve to be loved, and you've then taken that on with you for the rest of your life. See, for me, these stories that we tell ourselves, I personally think this is an example of basically having a victim mentality.
Really him. You're a victim. There we go, CSI.
Where you believe that, you know, the bad things that happen to you are because, you know, you're just a victim, and bad things happen to you because that is the kind of person you are. You see yourself as someone who gets victimized. And having that mentality is gonna get you nowhere. And I know this is a mentality that a lot of people have nowadays. The whole, I don't know, I feel like we're in the era of time where being a victim is almost like a status symbol, or like a symbol of valor, I don't know. But I really think it does not help most people. Seeing yourself as a victim, it gets you nowhere, because it takes responsibility out of your hands and puts it into the hands of God knows who, a random person out there that's supposed to come and save your life. And guess what? It's not gonna happen. So I ask you again, what is your story? Take a second and actually think. What story do I tell myself about myself when I'm walking around the world and I see a stranger? Do I think, oh, they must think I'm so weird, they must think I'm ugly, they must think I'm this, they must think I'm that? Because all these things, these are part of your self-story. Because you've automatically presumed someone sees you a certain way, because that is how you see yourself. You haven't even given them a chance to come up with their own opinion and show what they think of you. They probably don't think anything about you, realistically. When you're walking around seeing strangers, you barely ever think deeply about their character. You're kind of just looking at what they're wearing, if they've got drip or something, or if they're looking bummy, or like if they got a nice haircut. You know, I don't know. Like, as humans, we're very much surface level creatures until we get to talk to each other. So you're thinking too deeply, and you're deciding to opt for negativity when the positive option's right there. You can simply choose to just be delusional and be like, yeah, when I walk around and I see people, they look at me and they see me for who I really am. That guy, the boss. You get what I mean though. I mean, like, when you have an option to choose how you want people to, how you want to choose how you think people perceive you, why not choose the positive option? Why not think that people think you're great? Why not? You might be wrong either way. Why not? Why not just think that people think you're cool and think you're interesting? Why not? Fuck it. Okay, so now for some constructive advice that can actually help you change this narrative. Because now that we've addressed that, you know, we all have these self-stories and these negative narratives, let's try and figure out ways to, you know, improve this, to try and have better narratives about ourselves. And I gotcha. Because the truth is, the way that you narrate your life tends to be how your life becomes, if that makes sense. Because in my opinion, I think that you treat yourself how you imagine others would treat you if they saw all your flaws and all your lowlights and all your worst moments. And if you live life like that, presuming that everyone just sees all the weird shit you've done, all the awkward shit you've done, all the cringy shit you've done, and you just carry that around with you, no wonder you feel like shit. No wonder you're depressed. No wonder you don't go outside, because you're constantly presuming that everyone knows the worst shit you've been doing because you keep doing this bad shit. Like, people literally walk around like they've got like a montage of their worst moments on their forehead. Because I'm sure you've noticed, when, like, for me anyway, like when I walk around, I try and like look at people in the eye, acknowledge them, give them a little head nod, give them a little I'm a human smile. People be looking like pure zombie bots, just like sad, head down, just, yeah, like, I'm just thinking, bro, like, what are you thinking about right now? Because it can't be nothing good. Bro's going through it, and that is just my perception of him. Of course, I could be wrong, but you see, again, this is how we perceive each other. We judge each other from the way that we present each other. No, the way that we present to each other. So if you're walking around presenting like you're down bad and you hate yourself and you hate your life, people are gonna presume that about you. And of course, I could be wrong. Could just be some body language stuff he needs to work on, but for the most part, I'm sure I'm quite accurate. Okay, so again, we give too much power to our negative experiences. We need to realize that for most of us, we actually probably experience more positive experiences than negative. It's that our brain has a bias towards negativity. So we just focus on these negative things that happen to us and ignoring all the good stuff. But for me, what's worked is that I try and, you know, turn these negative moments I've experienced, as cheesy as it sounds, I turn the L's into lessons. Ah, yeah, you never heard that one before. Because when you stop allowing your past mistakes and your past experiences to define you, you just be a more confident person, if I'm being honest. Plain and simple. You just feel more confident, you feel more like yourself, you feel more alive. And who doesn't want that? Okay, so here are some actionable steps to actually start to change your self-narrative. Because believe it or not, the victim to not being a pussy transition is possible. I have done it. It wasn't easy, but it is possible. So firstly, I want you to take some time each day, if you can, or just however often you can, to actually acknowledge your achievements and, you know, celebrate your little wins and your little victories. Because every day, if you're being, you know, if you're on your purpose right now, there are things that you do each day that you probably don't really celebrate yourself for doing. Probably because it's become your norm, but there was a time where it was not your norm. So what you need to do is remember to like pat yourself on the back every now and again, man. Honestly, simple as that. Just say you're doing good. You're not doing that bad, you know. You're not doing that bad. I'm proud of you. You're doing better. Come on. You can do this usually by writing down your achievements in a journal, or doing what I do, which is like I like set myself goals and shit. One sec, let me show you. So yeah, I just set myself some goals and stuff and tick them off. Oh, as you can see, I've been doing it for a little while. Yeah, that kind of stuff, you know, it's good. It's good for you. Makes you feel good about yourself. Secondly, just understand that you are an unreliable narrator to your life. Like, something you have to realize is that you do know yourself, but you also have a vested interest in shitting on yourself sometimes when you feel bad. That is true. You know it's true. We all do this to ourselves sometimes. Sometimes we are our harshest critic, but not our biggest fan. And that is not good. You need to be, you know, you need to fuck with yourself a bit more, man, you know? Because if you don't, like, appreciate yourself, you can't expect other people to appreciate you. People will only give you the energy that you give out. If you're someone who walks around with confidence, you love yourself, people are going to be more likely to be drawn to you. They're like, ooh, I wonder what they got going on. They're looking like they're doing decent. Simple as that. And remember to not view your thoughts as facts. Thoughts are exactly that, just thoughts. They come and go. You can pick and choose which ones you want to identify with and which ones you like, and let the other shit just go. You also want to cut out any habits that, you know, trigger these feelings of like self-loathing and shame. Shame is one of the lowest forms of energy you can feel. It will leave you just like in a bottomless pit of despair, to say the least. So you want to have, you know, get rid of all the shit that you do that you're ashamed of. So that means going on the hub if you're still doing that, you know, touching yourself if you're still doing that, smoking them drugs if you know you shouldn't be doing that shit. And the list goes on, you know. You got shit that you're thinking of, all that shit. Stop doing that. Stop it. Get some help. And you also want to be open to, you know, change. Understanding that you, as a human, one of our superpowers is that we can change, we can grow, we can, you know, go from being one thing to being another thing that's better. We can do that. That's one of our powers as humans. You have to understand that where you are now is not where you'll be forever, whether that's good or bad. As humans, we go through these stages of life where sometimes we're at highs, and when you get that high, you have to realize there's a low coming, and vice versa. When you're low, you know that at some point, if I keep doing the right things, I'm gonna get right up there, man. I'm gonna get right up there for sure, for sure, for sure. You also wanna like look at your story, so like look at yourself from someone else's perspective. Because something that we don't realize is that, you know, we can be very harsh to ourselves, but if you were to like kind of see yourself from someone else's perspective and the way you present yourself and the things you do, the things you care about, you're probably a pretty good person. Unless you're like out there doing weird shit. But I think you're a good person. You're probably a good person. Okay, so take it easy on yourself. Be nicer to yourself. You deserve it. You're out here just trying. You're a little human in this big world, trying to do something for yourself. You know, relax. You're doing okay. Just keep going. Because honestly, you actually be surprised at how much people value you. Especially the people close to you, like your friends and family. People, because if you think about the way that you value your friends and family, you don't know all their inner thoughts, all the shit they're going through all the time. They're probably going through very, very similar things to you. Yet you still hold them in high esteem. You still love them. You still care about them. So why can't you, you know, show that same love and care to yourself? You deserve it. You deserve it. Okay, I'm gonna leave it there. I hope you found this interesting and helpful and valuable and great and marvelous and majestic and beautiful and wonderful. All the good stuff. Because I deserve it too. I deserve the good stuff too. I deserve it. So yeah, if you like the video, like the video. And then you can subscribe, you know, give me a kiss if you want to as well, right there. As always, why just survive when you can thrive? Yeah, mic drop. Ooh.
Are you seriously watching Pierce all by yourself again? Well, you might as well subscribe then.